I heard on Zoom Donna wanted to add in that Motown was her genre. So before we move on to the sermon, I just want us to kind of bless our musicians. They a lot of times they come early or they stay late, and they help bring so much to our worship. So those who are around, just kind of maybe lift your hands or just give a little physical symbol of sending them love. Our musicians, may your hands find the notes even when your heart is heavy. May your voice hold steady when the world feels loud and unkind. And may the instruments you shake, the keys you press, the rhythms you keep be more than sound. May they be medicine. And when you wonder if anyone's listening, may you remember that God is. And when the rehearsal is long and the reward uncertain, may the Spirit still meet you somewhere between the chord change and the silence. Thank you for giving beauty a body. Thank you for offering praise that doesn't always need to be perfect to be powerful. You remind us that truth can sing, and that joy can be improvised, and that grief too deserves a soundtrack. And so we bless you, grateful for the music you offer with all of your soul. We know God is in it, and so are we. Amen. All right, we'll see you all back here for communion. One of my mentors in ministry is a woman named Anna Gobeldale. Anna and her husband Todd are kind of globe-trotting pastors. They spent most of their ministry not just across state lines, but across continents. They served in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, in Australia, and wrapped up their ministry in some of the grittier, grace-filled corners of London. Well, I met them in a kind of a holy liminal space between calls when they were serving as chaplains in residence at my seminary. They actually had 2 little kids at the time. And fun fact, the little one, the daughter, is now grown serving at UCC Church in Loveland. They say time flies when you're baptizing across 4 different continents. But what struck me most about Anna and Todd wasn't their stamps in the passport or stories about elephant sightings or tea with bishops. It was their presence. They kind of had a superpower. They listened really, really well. That kind of listening makes you say things that you didn't even know you believed until you heard them spoken back to you. Our pastoral care professor used to call it spiritual acupuncture. That rare gift that doesn't fix or advise, it simply helps the truth find a way to the surface. And I always wondered where did they learn that rhythm, that stillness? Maybe it was Africa, not in the savoury, eat, pray, love kind of way, but because they were shaped by something different, a culture where time bends toward people instead of productivity, where community isn't a luxury, it's in the air that you breathe. And Anna used to say that in the villages where they lived, survival wasn't just about having food, but about sharing it. And not just the food, but the joy. When some of us gathered at Mosaic during Ramadan, we gathered over there to break the fast, and one of our Muslim siblings put it this way: dinner is better when we're not eating it alone. In fact, it doesn't really feel like dinner if guests are not present. And Anna said the same thing about music. Because in the African communities where she lived, music was just as essential as bread. They sang all the time. There's songs where you greet your neighbors and welcome strangers. There's songs when you're grieving. There's songs to say thanks. There's songs for healing and for work and for laughter. And sometimes they sang simply because someone just started to hum. And the rest of the room refused to let someone hum alone. She actually didn't even realize how musical the culture was until she came back to the States and walked into the cold silence of American life. Now maybe you live in a household where there's music, where someone plays guitar or sings while cooking. Maybe Spotify is your roommate. And if you're still using a CD player, don't worry, we love that retro holiness. Just don't ask your grandkids to burn you a mix, because they're going to look at you kind of weird. But seriously, when's the last time you sang a song to say hello? Or sang someone out the door? That silence, it says something, doesn't it? I'll go out on a little bit of a theological limb here and say I think that silence has actually cost us something. We're poor without communal song, maybe even lonelier. Maybe there's even loss in our soul, because music isn't just mood, it's medicine. Singing is kind of like soul hygiene, like flossing your spirit. Some of the wisest artists knew this. You know, Stephen Sondheim said, "If I cannot fly, well, let me sing." Jack Kerouac wrote, "The only truth there is music." Maya Angelou confessed, "I could crawl into the space between the notes and curl my back to the loneliness." And that even eternal cynic Friedrich Nietzsche gave us this: without music, life would be a mistake. I would go even further and to say music not only lifts our souls and strengthens our communities, it actually helps us understand God. Kurt Vonnegut, not exactly your Sunday school poet, but he once said, "If I should ever die, God forbid, let this be my epitaph." The only proof he needed for the existence of God was music. I mean, just watch what happens when Kyle sings or Marlena sings or when Jim and Carol play together. Watch how our breathing synchronizes, our hearts soften. I mean, that's not performance, that's presence, that's spiritual alignment. I mean, God can be found in the silence too, and I love when we get to go on silent retreat. And there are some churches that go without music, but when there is music, something sacred unfolds, something that can't happen any other way. I mean, our own tradition knows this. The Psalms, those ancient hymns, they're essentially a sacred playlist. Songs of rage, songs of joy, songs of despair, songs of deliverance. And Psalm 92, which you read today, talks about lifting music up to God morning and night. It's part of the daily rhythm of each day. And in Colossians, I love this, the writer says that music is a way of teaching and admonishing. Now, I've never been admonished in song, but if someone wants to try, please make it catchy. But who knows? Maybe the song will actually change my behavior. And we know that music's effective for teaching, right? I mean, just come over any morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and you'll see music together. There's children's music classes happening. Those songs help them learn. Think about the way we learn the ABCs. State capitals. Even mathematical constants. Don't believe me? There's a song about the number pi. 3.14159, this is pi, followed by 265358979, then 323. Oh my God, can't you see? 8462643, and now we're on a spree. 38 and 32, now we're blue. Oh, who knew? 7,950, and then a 2, 88 and 41, so much fun. Now a run, 9716, 9399, then 3751. I go on and on, but I hope that's not in your head now. But music is so powerful because it lives in a different part of our brain. It bypasses logic. It digs straight into memory, into soul. Over the years, I've had the privilege to sit with many beloveds in their final days. People that could no longer form sentences, who could no longer quite track time or conversations anymore. But if I started to sing, even just a single verse of Amazing Grace, or 'Tis a Gift to Be Simple, or Silent Night, something shifts. Eyes open, breath would deepen. Sometimes a single tear, recognition flickers. And even if for only a moment, and so that's not nostalgia, but it just feels like that's holy ground. And honestly, I feel it too. I think about the first notes of O Come All Ye Faithful on Christmas Eve. Or Christ the Lord is risen today at Easter. I mean, you can feel it in your body, your posture, your pulse. I mean, that's when Christmas begins. That's when Easter starts. The theology is in a hymnal as much as it is in a sermon. I'd even argue maybe more. Music does something to our hearts that words alone can't. I could say the words of "We shall overcome," or "We are a gentle, angry people," or "The times they are changing." But singing them, especially if it's with others, that opens us to a different space, that it carries us. Music has been so central in movements for justice and liberation. From the spirituals of enslaved people to the freedom songs of the civil rights era to Pete Seeger, Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Sweet Honey in the Rock, Nina Simone. Music has never been just background noise, it's been fuel. It's been lament, it's been resistance, it's been sanctuary. It's been what guided people to safety, to freedom, and given communities to fight for justice together. Songs like "A Change Is Gonna Come," or "This Land Is Your Land," they offered hope, they carried grief, they called forth courage. Modern examples might be "Glory" by John Legend and Common, or "Same Love" by Macklemore. These let people imagine a world that wasn't yet real, and for a moment, like maybe it could be. So today I invite us to reclaim a little of what I lost. Maybe we won't know all the verses. Maybe we're off key, maybe we're shy, but let us sing anyway. Sing to God, sing to each other, sing to say welcome, sing to say goodbye, sing to say I'm here and you are not alone. Because these are heavy days, and our souls are tired. But music is a grace that still reaches us. It lifts the dust off despair, it holds us through the ache. And I like to imagine somewhere, in the middle of our scattered notes and cracked voices, that God is humming along with us. Amen.